So if you're like me, desperately waiting patiently for the next chapter to drop any time now, I think it becomes important in periods like these to really take a look back at how much Berserk has progressed in the last few decades. But I would really also like to do is really bring back to the original essence of this YouTube channel and to navigate through the Berserk storyline through the lens of Guts and his character development. I originally started this channel as a means to express my solitary passion of the character development of Guts in Berserk, and how I saw it as a vital ingredient on my journey through depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder. And I wanted to share those insights with everyone. And I know that it has been a bit lost in the ether a bit with my more recent content. So with this video, let's take a trip down memory lane so that we are readily prepared for this next arc of Berserk. Let's take a trip back to the first arc where we are first exposed to Guts as a savagely brutal, ruthless Chad, who we literally see fucking a demon before killing them off as the very first panel of the manga series. And from this point on, we already knew we were onto something special, especially horrifying, I guess. And my personal insight on Guts at this point was one that bled mystery and darkness, which is what really enticed me to keep reading from the get-go. It wasn't long until I fully immersed myself in the storytelling and world building, one that seemed to be heavily skewed on the side of the dark and evil, where the main character isn't one that is overly blessed with good luck, good friends, and good vibes, but one that seemed to be constantly battling for his own survival and barely surviving every single fucking time, which added to the beauty of the entire masterpiece. This was my first introduction to a work of manga that didn't bleed overly unrealistic character tropes and cringe-ass databeo vibes, and was ironically something that I could almost link with real-life struggle. The dark times that we all experience always seem to feel like a looming, overwhelming shadow that pushes our heads back under the water whenever we seem to finally catch a break. And Berserk seemed to have captured that feeling very, very well. And when I say it's ironic, it's because, well, bro, this entire manga is so deeply rooted in fantasy and magic and shit, but for some reason, it's also the closest thing I have ever experienced that seemed to reflect the darkness that I was experiencing in real life. Nevertheless, Guts in this first arc is a character that is still rather rudimentary and one-dimensional, almost like a corny action figure swinging his big blade around with his edgy personality, but that's about to quickly shift. The second arc that we experience is the Golden Age arc. Now, this was probably one arc that really gravitated myself towards being a mega fan of the manga, but not for the usual reasons. I think it goes without saying that the first half of this arc was a lot of back and forth between character politics and conflicts, story and world building segments, and also the more micro advancements of Guts' character in relation to the other main instigators, such as Griffith, Casca, and the rest of the party. It was definitely more of an arc that really set the focus on Griffith's dream, Casca's complex personality and character, as well as Guts' struggle with the concept of camaraderie and love, which was all part of a giant scheme from Miura to completely bait us into a higher form of hopium, that this manga probably is just another sweet utopian escape from reality that we all thought we wanted from a manga. But nah, this ain't no manga where you lie in bed with a cup of tea with. No fucking way. Because just as fast as Miura led us to believe that Guts was entering a "these are my nakama for life" arc, he pulls the cup from underneath our feet with the event of the eclipse, where we are essentially robbed of all expectations and shocked beyond belief, which is also where this manga truly drew me in and turned me into the ultimate fan of Berserk. And yeah, I have never truly felt betrayed by an inanimate, intangible piece of art before, and this was the first and only time I felt my heart stop when the eclipse was first exposed to my very eyes. That feeling of betrayal was so real and so intense that I can't even really muster the will to say the name Griffith in real life to this day without feeling a pit of darkness and anger in the depths of my stomach. And weirdly enough, this feeling didn't feel too foreign either. Like Guts, we've all felt a sense of betrayal before, and that's because we have all felt a sense of trust initially too. And that betrayal, be it from a close friend or family member, or sometimes importantly even our very own selves, is something that becomes tattooed onto our brain as something that we don't ever want to think about anymore. But this very arc made me realize that sometimes we have to face it. Not face it in the corny, cringy, I forgive you kind of nonsense, but to face it in the realest way possible, to not cower from it, but to attack it. When we see Guts get front row seats to the nightmare of Casca getting raped, we don't see him trickle into a pile of tears and despair. No, we see him literally blind himself and cut off his own arm in order to exact direct immediate rage towards the enemy. And to me, that was true power. That is true strength and courage, which has always been something that I truly lacked. Because to me, depression, anxiety, and all of these ailments, a lot of them can be mended by just accepting the fact that you are too cowardly to face those demons, and you let them consume you without even realizing it. And not before long, it becomes too late and the eclipse event will end, and you and your loved ones will be permanently cursed with your own downfall. And though yes, we do see Guts and Casca get saved from the eclipse by the Skull Knight, and yes, even though they didn't get out of it uninjured or unmarked, the fact that they even survived is a testament to willpower, faith, and courage. And to me, this really set fire to my heart as I truly realized that Berserk isn't really something that entertains, but may very well be something I can use to emulate in real life to tackle real personal internal demons. The Conviction arc was something truly amazing. What this arc really did for me, not just me, but every one of us, is that it did something many other mangas and animes could not. It displayed true willpower, mental toughness, and drive in a character that had nothing but suffering. There were no Zenkai boosts, no power of friendship, no power of love, no gifts or tools. Fucking nothing. The only thing Guts was provided with was advice from Skull Knight, which is basically, your life is gonna suck cause you're cursed now. And what do we witness in this arc? Pure, unhinged, undying power and drive from a broken man. And yeah, not gonna lie, this is probably my favorite arc in the entirety of Berserk. Guts himself is completely defeated in all means of the word. He lost the love of his life, he lost his best friend, and was also betrayed by him. He lost all of his other friends to the eclipse in the most unforgiving, gruesome way. He got marked to be hunted by demons and evil spirits for the rest of his life, and yet he still manages to keep on fighting just for the sake of fighting on. There's no hope, there's no silver lining, no positive insights. Just pure, uncensored suffering. We see him destroy every enemy that comes in his path, and almost every enemy that he faces are OP as fuck and always nearly kill him, only for him to hang on by a thread through sheer will and grit, just enough to make it through to the other side. And to a person like me, this gives me undying, unlimited hope, that no matter how shitty life gets, we can make it through without ending it, if we have even the tiniest bit of courage to take the next step into a new day. And I know some of you might call me absolutely insane to attribute so much life lessons to a character that is fictional and unrealistic, but well, no. We determine when we stop fighting. If you're in the shit and everyone you love is dead, the first thing you might think about is ending it all with the snap of a finger. But I truly believe that after envisioning someone go through everything that Guts goes through in this arc, and being able to emerge from it stronger, more brutal, more tougher than ever, is something that has brought something extremely powerful out from within the depths of my very own soul. We only ever truly die when we cower in fear to our own minds. And I think a great example of this was in the Lost Children chapter of this arc, where we see Guts battling Rosine. By the peak of the fight, the audience knows Guts is way too weak compared to Rosine, yet we see Guts win by defying what we deem acceptable, normal, and limited. He lets himself get impaled on purpose in order to gain some risky control of the situation, in order to barely win the fight. He puts himself up for sacrifice just for the sheer chance of victory. And this is a great testament of human drive, something that we all really have within us. And this isn't just a one-off event. We see Guts do this time and time again in this particular arc, where he sheds his entire sense of self to the breaking point and goes even further than that with little to no reasoning or dreams or desire behind it. Just the sheer weight of survival is all you need to drive a person to fight sometimes. Now I know I went off the rail for the previous arc, but I'ma chill out a bit for this segment. I decided to cover the Millennium Falcon arc and Fantasia arc together, as they are both quite similar in regards to motives and story driving. Now after we see Guts go through the intense lonesome hardships of fighting non-stop and continuously, these arcs almost act as a counter to that sheer rage that we witnessed. We notice a sense of odd tranquility during this period of the story, where Guts is finally given some form of direction towards a goal, which is the refocusing on delivering Casca to Fantasia in order to heal her and maybe bring back some sort of normality and peace to everyone. Now, what's interesting about these arcs is that many people say that this is where Berserk kind of dies down a bit in terms of entertainment value, but to be honest, I disagree. This is truly where we start seeing Guts struggle with his own inner dialogue and questions his own moral compass and humanity, which is something that truly solidifies Berserk's status as an S-tier manga. In this arc, we're introduced to the manifestation of Guts' darkness, the beast of darkness. All that brutality, chaos, and darkness that Guts exhibits throughout the Conviction arc has materialized into something that is relatively more tangible and accessible to not only Guts, but to us, the reader, as well. It's almost as if the suffering of Guts has taken shape and form, which allows us to start to understand the humanity behind it too. As Guts takes Casca on the journey to heal, we see various individuals start latching onto Guts as well, as they slowly form a new party of comrades. Which is something that is quite odd given the fact that Guts was merely a lone damaged wolf not only a few chapters ago. But this contrast is what gives everything meaning. Though it is important to struggle with your own inner darkness and emerge victoriously no matter the consequences of your own comfort, it is sometimes equally important to realize that your actions have consequences on others too. Which, though it sounds super corny and PG, is something that needs to be at least somewhat addressed in real life as well. We can only truly adjust our moral compasses by accessing the perception of others around us that we hold dear. Now, Guts in the Conviction arc had basically deemed companionship as a weakness due to the fact that he did not want to lose anyone anymore, the way he lost everyone during the Golden Age arc. But as the story progressed throughout this particular arc, we begin to realize that Guts' power has been capped by his humanity. And it's only through the help of Shirka that Guts is able to obtain the Berserker armor, which pushes his limit beyond what is humanly possible. Now, if we just ignore all the lame love triangle shit between Guts, Shirka, and Farnese, this arc really does set a tone of realism as well. A lot of times, our sense of depression, of anxiety, of anything, is a matter of refocusing and perception. Now, no, this doesn't help in any way of removing those demons, but what it does is it takes you out of your self-loathing mindset of hatred, misanthropy, and forces you to analyze your misery through the lens of people you care about. And it doesn't even need to be a lot of people. Sometimes even just one person is enough for you to shift your mindset enough so that you can learn to address those demons and attack them head on, or use them effectively. This is demonstrated by Guts actually, especially when he is juggling between his beast of darkness and his relationship with Casca. The beast wants him to kill Casca so they can focus on the goal of revenge, and Guts fights back due to his sense of righteousness and humanity. And once again, having these comrades around him doesn't just automatically cure everything Guts has gone through. Ironically, obtaining the Berserker armor has only amplified the darkness in Guts, and has made it even more challenging for Guts to channel that darkness into effectiveness. To summarize all this up, I think that as eager as we are for the release of Berserk 376, it is still crucially important that we remember how far Guts has come, and more importantly, how far we have come too. If you're like me, I have been a fan of Berserk for almost 15 years, and I have also gone through plenty of battles against myself, my demons, and it just proves that this is not just any manga. It is a profound exploration of human resilience and the relentless battle against our own inner selves. Guts started off as a one-dimensional edgelord, and is now a complex multi-layer gigachad. Well, until we see what happens in this next arc, at least. I love you guys all. Let's keep struggling, my friends.